Welcome back to Book Break. I am very excited to have in my hands today a proof of Hanya Yanigahara's new novel. This is To Paradise, one of the most anticipated novels of my year, of loads of people's years, and I have it in my hands. It is coming out in January 2022, but I'm going to read it right now. We all know there has been a huge trend on BookTube in recent years of reading vlogs following people reading Hanya Yanigahara's last book, A Little Life. So I thought I would jump ahead of the trend on this one and vlog myself reading To Paradise. I don't know very much about this book yet. I know that it is going to be very different from A Little Life, so I don't know what to expect. The book is divided into 3 sections. We have an alternate version of 1893, we then jump to 1993, and then for the final section, into the future to 2093. So we're going to meet completely different people and different worlds in each of those. What unites all the characters are their reckonings with the qualities that make us human: fear, love, shame, need, loneliness. I think I'm going to love this book. Come along and watch me read it. Okay, it is day 1 of my Hanya Yanigahara reading vlog. Let's go in to Paradise. I'm so nervous and excited for this. I've missed reading Hanya Yanigahara's writing. It's just so beautiful. Okay, interesting. What I've learned so far is that this is set in 1893, but it's an alternate version of 1893. So the first major difference that I noticed is that people seem to be allowed to love and marry who they want. So of the main characters we've met so far, we have 3 siblings. One of the brothers is married to a man, the sister is married to a woman. So that's the main difference I have noticed so far in what I know of history from 1893. We have reached Christmas time in the book, which obviously makes me very happy and feel very festive. I'm really getting to know these characters now, which is really lovely. Hanya Yanigahara always does such a great job of giving these characters like such rich inner lives, so you really, as the book goes on, get to know them. Okay, this morning I'm off to queue for a booster jab at my local walk-in. Who knows how long I could be queuing, so it's actually very lucky that this book is so big. Okay, I was in there for an hour and I read about 40-50 pages of the book, so that's pretty good. There is a situation developing. I do not know how this is going to end well. Situation has continued to develop. I now think that hoping for it to end well was optimistic. I just don't know how it's going to end. P.S. I'm really into this book. It is nothing like A Little Life so far. I'm really into it though. Okay, I have finished work for the holidays. I'm officially on Christmas holiday, which is very exciting. So I'm going to sit on the sofa for the next approximately 8 hours and read this book. This is the perfect way to spend my first day of Christmas. I've got my coziest socks on, I'm snuggled up under a blanket with a very big book that's going to keep me company all day. I've got my reading companion here, best reading companion in the world. I think she could tell I was getting worried about what's about to happen in this book, so she climbed right on top of me to keep me company. Okay, I've just finished part 1 of 3, and also had the book title in the final sentence of that part, so that was very exciting. Now I'm so intrigued what is going to happen in part 2, because we're now going to jump to 100 years into the future, an alternate version of the world. We're going to meet whole new characters. I'm so excited, starting again. Change of scene, I've moved around, found a new chair to sit in, to dive in to part 2. This bit is going to be set in 1983. No, I'm wrong, 1993. We've come from 1893, now we're in 1993 Manhattan. And where the last part was set in a kind of alternate version of history, so it was 1893, but the world was very, very different. Parts of America had kind of branched off and become their own country, the free states, and they had totally different laws. I mentioned that people were allowed to marry whoever they wanted, and that wasn't the case still in the rest of America. So that was kind of alternate history. I think that this bit in 1993 is going to be the most accurate to our real life 1993, but I could be wrong. I'll find out now. So we're getting reintroduced to these characters. Everyone's got the same names as they did in part 1, but the relationships between them are different, and I'm not sure if there's going to be things that we're supposed to spot about their personalities being kind of equivalents, or if they are just completely different people with the same names. Who knows? Very intriguing, but it does take a bit of concentrating to keep track of, okay, here is David again, but it's not the same David, and Eden is no longer David's sister, Eden is now David's friend. Focus, Emma. Both sections so far revolve around this house on Washington Square. It's kind of the centre of all the action. And I just remembered that I used to have a favourite song called Washington Square by The Correspondents, so I'm going to play that while I read it. You can't listen to it because that's not how YouTube works. We'd have to pay royalties for that. But if you want to go and listen to it, I can link it below. It's called Washington Square by The Correspondents. It's electro swing. It's pretty fun. I have to pop into town for some very quick shopping. To Paradise has been keeping me company on loads of errands recently. I'm home alone this evening, so as a special treat to accompany my reading, I've got some bubbles. So this is interesting. So halfway through book 2, we are now jumping location again. So book 2 is divided into 2 bits. I will tell you what the second half is about when I figured it out. Just diving in now. The second section is all in the form of a letter from our main character's father. So we're kind of going back a generation in time, and we're going to Hawaii, which is where his father lives, and learning a bit about the history there. What I don't know, because I'm not an expert on Hawaiian history, is how much of this is based on real Hawaiian history and how much is Hanya Yanigahara doing her thing where she creates alternate universes. Full circle, back to reading in my pajamas. I'm almost exactly halfway through this book, so I'm going to put it down for the night, but I'm already so excited about picking it up again tomorrow. It's going home for Christmas Day! It got a bit too dark to keep reading, but I'm nearly home for Christmas! I now have a fireplace to sit by and read my book, so this is where you will find me for the rest of Christmas probably. Okay, I finished book 2. That second bit also finished with the book title To Paradise. So that was a really interesting section. The second half of it, where we went back to Hawaii, was kind of all about the history of colonialism in Hawaii, and also in that section I even more started to see parallels between the characters here versus the characters from book 1. They are different people, but there's room for you to imagine what the similarities might mean, if that makes sense. So the fate of one of the characters in here kind of reflects what potentially the fate of his earlier version may have been. I'm trying to be vague here so I don't give spoilers. So I think this was very vague, but it's really interesting. It's going to leave me a lot to think about. So now, book 3 is basically the second half of the book. It's going to be the biggest section. And at this point, we're going to go into the future. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think it might be about a pandemic. I might be wrong there. So in this future, in this version of 2093, there have been multiple pandemics. And this book was written before COVID, but this makes our pandemic fade into nothingness. The gender of the main character in this section hasn't yet been confirmed, so it's switched to suddenly being in first person, so we're not getting pronouns, but I'm picking up on enough clues that this is a woman, which is the first time we've had a female main character in the book. I don't know their name yet, so I don't know which of the previous characters they're supposed to be a reincarnation of, or if they're someone new. We have a name for this character, so I know who they are a sort of version of. We also had a really cool little Easter egg moment where there was a very brief mention of a story which was actually referring to book 1. So we are getting these cool little links. It is wild how relevant all this is. I haven't really talked you through the format of this book yet, of this section of the book. So basically we're flashing back and forth between 2093, where we are just in this dystopian future. We have that female main character for the first time, and by this point we just know there have been multiple pandemics. The world is just unrecognizable. And then we are also kind of learning about the 50 years leading up to that point, so it keeps flashing back to kind of 50 years earlier, 40 years earlier, 30 years earlier, and we're following at that point a scientist who is an epidemiologist. Is that the right word? So learning quite a lot about these diseases and how they've spread, and how the scientists aren't being given enough funding for what they need, so it's all just quite terrifying. Ooh, quite a dramatic reveal at that point. So on that note, I'm going to put it down for the evening. My dog's just come in. She wants to be fed. Okay, it's time to go and feed the dog. Feed myself. We'll return to this tomorrow. Okay, I am on a mission to finish this book today. I've got 202 pages left. Do you think I can do it? This book is genuinely so scary to read right now. It just makes me feel like the future is bleak. But it's also really good. And it is really sad. So this book is really different from A Little Life. It's not like a book that will make you weep in the same way that A Little Life made all of us weep. But it is still really sad in the characterization of a lot of these people. So we meet these characters in various incarnations of themselves, I've said, and there's one character called David, completely different David in every storyline. I think it's kind of up to you whether you interpret them as a reincarnation of that same person, or if it's just complete fluke they're called David. But there is always a character called David who is always just so sad and broken and lonely and wants to be loved so much, and the character of David always just really, really like gets to my heart. And there's always a character called Charles who cares so deeply for David but is never quite able to get through to him a lot of the time, is often treated by David with contempt or disgust even. Hanya Yanigahara is just really, really good at writing about the relationships between humans and how sad they are a lot of the time, how difficult it is to make yourself understood to another person. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to cry at this book, but it is making me feel melancholy, but also exciting. I need to know what's going to happen next with this plague, because this could be our future. Oh my goodness, we have just discovered something big in a flashback. It is getting tense, so tense. I've come to sit closer to the fire because I'm getting chills. Oh hi, I've got all the dogs with me now. Do you dogs not understand? I'm at a very crucial moment of my book. 10 pages to go. It is all happening now. I may not recover from this. And with that, I have finished To Paradise, all 701 pages of it. That book was so good. This book is absolutely nothing like A Little Life, so be prepared for something totally different, totally brand new. You can tell it's the same author because her writing is just as beautiful. She does explore homosexuality as a big focus in both A Little Life and in this book, and kind of depicting slightly different versions of the world. In this one we get 3 whole versions of the world, but even if you have read A Little Life, you'll remember that the way homosexuality is treated in that book is different in some subtle ways from our reality, and in this one we get 3 different versions of it, all different from each other. So you'll get those themes. If you loved A Little Life, if you love Hanya Yanigahara, you will love this as well, but it's not the same kind of book at all. It is so interesting. I feel like I have so much to sit and think about with this book, and that ending, oh my god. So this one is coming out in January. I cannot wait to see what everyone is going to think of this. Leave a comment below if you are really excited about reading this, and let me know if you'd like us to do more reading vlogs like this on Book Break. I haven't done one quite like this before, so let me know if you'd like more, and I will link here to a playlist of all of our other vlog style videos that we have made, so you can click through and have a browse, and I'll see you next time.